Hello, senior high school students. It's me, Teacher Jessa, your disaster risk reduction and management teacher. So, kumusta kayo? I pray na lahat kayo ay masaya, excited, at malusog, syempre. 'Di ba? So, sana ay ma-enjoy ninyo ang subject na ito. And of course, as your teacher, I'm very excited and happy na kayo ang naging estudyante ko. So, we will start our lesson for the lesson 1. We will discuss these 5 topics, which are, we will know the concept of disaster risk, how to reduce disaster, the risk factors, and lastly, the nature of disasters. Let's start. What is disaster? Maybe you already have an idea with this subject, right? Especially during our dry run. Na siguro naiisip nyo, ay, DRRM? Disaster? Sobrang dali naman yan. Pero, sa totoo lang, tama kayo. Madaling-madali lang ang subject na to. Kaya lang minsan nagkakaroon lang tayo ng problema dahil nawawalan tayo ng disiplina. Hindi natin nasusundan or nasusunod yung mga tinuturo sa atin ng mga teachers, ng mga nagtitrain sa atin na galing pa sa mga BFP, yung mga, di ba, tinuturuan tayo sa mga fire drill, sa mga earthquake, pero pag minsan, nagpapanik tayo. Hindi na natin nagagawa yung mga tinuro sa atin, di ba? So ngayon, babalikan natin lahat ng mga tinuro nila, lalo ngayon, online na lang, di ba? Hindi na sila makakapag-training sa atin. So, we will start. Disaster. The term disaster is originated from the French word désastre. It is a combination of the words des and aster, okay? Des and aster. Des means bad and aster means star. So if we combine the two, so disaster means bad star, okay? Kapag bad, ano bang ginagawa ng bad? 'Di ba mga hindi mabuti o hindi magaganda? Oh, baka sa inyo, disaster din kayo yung mga behavior ninyo. Joke lang. Alam ko naman, mababait ang mga absiyans. Okay? Sana nga. Disaster is a serious and tragic event that causes loss of lives, human suffering, and great damages to properties and environment. O, ganyan yung disaster. It disrupts the current state of communities, affecting wide-ranging aspects of community life. O yan, grabe yung effect ng disaster, no? Pwedeng may mamatay, may mawala ng buhay, pwedeng may maghirap, di ba? Lalo kapag may mga pagbaha. Tapos, ang mahirap niyan kapag may mga damages of properties and yung environment natin, di ba? Kapag nagkakaroon ng mga lindol, yan, kadalasan nasisira yung ating environment. Yung mga puno natutumba, no? Next, disaster happens when communities lack the facility to adapt to disruptions that further affects the socio-economic, political, psychological, and cultural state of individuals and families and communities. Yan, yung kapag nahirapan ng mag-adapt yung isang community, so it is disaster. 'Di ba noong una yung COVID-19 na talagang nahirapan tayo, nag-lockdown, parang iniisip na natin yung paano yung kinabukasan natin, paano yung kakainin natin, 'di ba? Pero unti-unti nakakapag-adapt tayo. So nagkaroon na tayo ng mga healthy protocols na kailangan nating sundin. Yan. Disasters are integral parts to human lives. In fact, the world experiences disasters almost every day. Oh! Baka mamaya natatanong ninyo, totoo ba yun, teacher? Yes. Kung nanonood lang talaga kayo ng balita sa YouTube, so every day may mga disaster na nararanasan ang iba't ibang bansa. For example, since Philippines is very near in the Pacific Ring of Fire, so yung disaster na kadalasan nating na-experience ay yung typhoons at saka earthquakes, di ba? Dito sa Pilipinas, minsan may magde-text na lang sa atin na NDRRMC, naitala yung 4.1 magnitude na lindol sa ganitong lugar, yung may mga ganyang ano, 'di ba, senaryo. Tas sa ibang bansa yung Amazon, kung nabalitaan niyo 'yon. 'Di ba, yung bigla na lang nasunog yung forest nila. Tapos ang daming mga animals ang namatay. And also yung mga tsunamis like Japan, Taiwan, yan na experience nila 'yon. Sa atin, yung talagang pagbaha, yung bagyo, tsaka lindol, yan yung kadalasan, di ba? Tsaka yung tagtuyot, pag nagtuyong-tuyo na yung mga lupa. Another disaster yon sa ating mga magsasaka. Okay? Take note, or you need to remember this one. So this is my question during our dry run. For instance, an earthquake is a natural phenomenon, right? So when it happens in a place where no people are harmed or no damages to properties are incurred, even if it is very strong, it cannot be considered a disaster. So clear tayo dun ha? Bakit hindi siya kino-considered as disaster? Kasi walang taong nasaktan. Walang properties na nasira. Okay? So, ngayon, clear na sa inyo kung disaster yon or hindi. So, I hope na alam nyo na kung ang isang pangyayari ay disaster or not. Okay? We have two types of calamities, which are the predicted and unpredicted. So, pag sinabi nating predicted, when its effect could no longer be controlled and disturbs people, damages properties, and unsettles events. Ano ba yung pinakamagandang example ng predicted calamities? Yung typhoon. Correct. Next, unpredicted. So, pag sinabi naman nating unpredicted calamities, so it is more disastrous because people wouldn't know when these calamities would struck a place, a person, or a thing. So, halimbawa niyan yung earthquake and tsunamis. Di ba kapag hindi mo alam na may disaster na mangyayari ay nakakatakot, di ba? Hindi natin sila napaghahandaan. Okay, so bigla-bigla silang dumadating. Unlike the predicted, so may somehow makakapag-prepare tayo, na makakapag-ready tayo. Now, we will differentiate the three words which are the vulnerability, hazard, and capacity. When we say vulnerability, it pertains to the weakened capability of a person or group of persons to prepare, manage, and recover from the impact of natural or man-made disaster. So, minsan, nangyayari ang vulnerability, yung mga marami nasusugatan, dahil kulang tayo or kulang ang isang specific community sa mga first aid kapag kunwari dumating yung disaster, hindi nila alam yung gagawin. So, di ba, once na hindi mo alam yung gagawin, ang mangyayari ay pwedeng mas marami ang mawala ng buhay. Di ba? Yung hazard, so hazard pertains to any condition or circumstances that endangers a person, thing, or situation. And also, it can classify it into two, yung man-made tsaka natural hazard. So, pag sinabi nating man-made, no, man-made hazard. Halimbawa, yung nangyari dun sa Lebanon, 'di ba? Yung pinaka-latest na news. Yung nagtago sila ng 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate. Tapos yung bigla na lang sumabog, napakaraming mga namatay at saka nasugatan sa pangyayaring yon. And yung natural hazard naman, pag sinabi nating natural hazard, meron tayong geological, atmospheric hazards. Kapag geological, earthquake and floods. Yon. Tapos yung atmospheric, yung nasa taas, sa atmosphere natin, droughts and thunderstorm. Okay? So last, the capacity. So capacity pertains to the ability of every individual or group or the community as a whole to mitigate the effects of hazards or causes of disaster. So, yan yung capacity, yan yung ability, yung kakayanan ng isang tao or grupo ng tao sa isang komunidad kung paano niya i-adapt yung sarili niya or paano siya makakasurvive dun sa specific disaster na nangyari. Okay? Yan yung tatlo. Next, what is disaster risk? According to United Nations International Strategy on Disaster Reduction, or ISDR, so disaster risk is the potential loss in lives, health status, livelihoods, and various assets, which are often challenging to quantify. We have two categorization of disaster risk, are intensive and extensive. So when we say intensive or intensive risk, it involves the exposure of large number of people in a specific geographic area to extreme events that can further lead to catastrophic disaster impacts involving high mortality rate and asset loss. Intensive, no, yung large number. While extensive risk is concerned more on the exposure of dispersed population to various hazards of low or moderate intensity. So, mababang bilang lang. Okay? Disaster can be considered also as acute onset or slow onset. Or sometimes they call slow onset as gradual onset. When we say acute onset, it includes events such as earthquake, floods, hurricane, typhoon, tornado, fire, tsunami, or storm surge, avalanche, volcanic eruption, extreme cold, or blizzard and heat wave. So, yun yung mga acute onset. Kapag slow onset naman, yung mga drought, famine, desertification, deforestation, and pest infestation. So, yan yung difference ng dalawa. Now, here are some things to remember how to reduce disaster risk. First, lessen the rate of vulnerability by empowering people in disaster risk reduction. For example, since you have knowledge and wisdom to share to your friends or family para in case na dumating ang disaster, so alam nila yung gagawin nila. Kaya mas magandang sinishare na ninyo ngayon habang may oras pa, di ba? Para pag dumating na yung disaster, alam nila kung ano yung gagawin nila, di ba? Ini-impart ninyo yung mga natutunan ninyo sa mga previous years na drills na ginawa ninyo sa school. Okay? So next, keep exposure away from hazard by relocating people and property. The third one, develop disaster preparedness. The conduct of drills like fire drills, earthquake drills, and other emergency drills may help mitigate the effect of disasters through enhanced preparation of the vulnerable community. So once na prepared ang isang tao, 'di ba? Alam niya kung ano yung gagawin niya. Alam niya yung ipe-prepare niya. Kaya maganda talagang nai-inform, no? Nai-inform yung ating mga mahal sa buhay. The last one, empower the people. This is possible through conducting information drive and seminars to communities which are exposed to disasters. So ito ay ipapagawa ko rin sa inyo, no, na kailangan talagang ma-inform yung ating mga friends and families. So sa bandang mga third week siguro mabibigay ko sa inyo yung mga gagawin ninyo. So excited na ba kayo? So abangan niyo 'yon. Okay? Risk factors underlying disaster. We have environmental problems and human factors. So, under ng environmental problems, declining ecosystems, yung mga nagmimina, right? So, social, economic vulnerabilities, and climate change. Sa human factors, we have the unplanned urbanization and underdevelopment or poverty. Diba sa sobrang hirap ng buhay, marami sa ating mga kapwa Pilipino ay nakatira na lang sa ilalim ng tulay, di ba nagtatayo na lang sila ng mga bahay doon. At pwede silang, di ba pag nagkaroon ng accident, so pwede silang mamatay. Tsaka yung iba, nasa tabi lang ng riles ng tren, katulad na nakikita nyo sa picture, di ba? So, pwede silang daanan ng sasakyan dyan, pwede silang maaksidente at mamatay. Okay? So, the nature of disasters. We also have two types of disaster, which are the natural and man-made. Kapag sinabi nating natural, yan yung mga natural forces. Like tsunamis, floods, landslide, hurricanes, di ba? So, ito, we can taken to minimize the effects. While the man-made disaster, it caused by the activities of men, katulad ng mga pagsabog, yung mga oil spill na nangyari sa karagatan natin. Yan, di ba? Actually, this man-made disaster, we can avoid, di ba? Kung nakaplano lang to ng maayos, kung paano natin mapiprevent, kung may mga plano, methods na gagawin, pwede natin siyang ma-prevent. Okay? So, there are 10 deadliest natural disasters in the Philippines. So, ito yung mga yon. Yan yung Moro Gulf Tsunami, Tropical Storm Telma, Typhoon Pablo, yan mga earthquake, yan yung madalas nating mga nararanasan, yung mga pagputok ng bulkan. Yan. Then, the man-made disasters, so very stressful events yan that caused directly and primarily by human action. It is also called human-made or human-caused disasters. So, yung incidents na nangyari dito sa ating bansa, yung Tubataha Reef, na alam niyo yun, nabalitaan niyo ba yun? Dahil dun sa USS Guardian, di ba nasira yung ating, or na-damage yung ating Tubataha Reef. Tapos yung madalas na oil spills, kapag nagkakaroon ng problema yung mga barko, kaya may lumubog na barko, so anong mangyari, di ba masira yung ating mga yamang dagat. And, yung Rizal Day bombing. So, yan yung mga naging man-made disaster dito sa Pilipinas. Di ba kapag chinek lang sana nila ng maayos, yung mga barko nila, di sana hindi na lang nagkaroon ng oil spill. Di ba? So, pwede natin siyang mapigilan or ma-minimize. I will end this lesson by reading the Bible verse from the book of Psalms, chapter 46, verses 1 to 2. It says, God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea. So that's all for this day. Have a nice day to all of you, and God bless us all.